Today time, well, often as an organization, when you're looking at either a change in policy or practice, the inevitable discussion about financing comes into place and how kind of things will ultimately affect an organization with change. Now, you bring in the topic of sustainability, and that opens a whole other can of worms. And as a result, it can be very intimidating and to a certain extent a deterrent for many companies. Well, we're going to talk about an upcoming event that's happening on March 7th, which is an educational forum, Financing Sustainability Projects, and here to tell us more, Mike Morrice of Sustainable Waterloo Region. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jay.
And I think we need to start the segment by making a bit of an announcement.
Yes, we're really happy this week that two arts-based organizations in our community have joined the Regional Carbon Initiative. And so Centre in the Square and the Museum both this week announced that they've joined. That means they're going to start looking at how they can set an inventory of their greenhouse gas emissions, look towards making a commitment to do so, and kind of build on all the different projects they've been working on over the past few years to reduce their energy consumption and to reduce their environmental impact. So we're really glad about that.
Of course.
And of course, one of the first questions they ask is how do we start to pay for this?
And I think it's important to note, too, that we're in an exciting time. This transition is happening, and it's not happening for, people would argue for environmental reasons, which of course there is. But also we're finding that this could actually be a very, I don't want to say lucrative, but it can be a beneficial experience for an organization because there are cost savings. And again, more so than ever, there are financial resources that are available that can assist.
Jay, I wish I had you with me when we went into a business to try to get them to be a part of this. That's exactly what we've been talking about for the past 3 years now. Now they're up to 43 different organizations, everything from nonprofits to for-profits, municipalities, Centre in the Square and the Museum, the most recent. One of the big questions we often have to address, first of all, is, does doing this work mean we have to spend a ton of money on this? And, in an economic recession, how am I going to go about finding extra money on top of everything else we're challenged with already? And often what we kind of talk through is the business case for an organization to reduce their environmental impact. And often that means reducing your energy bills. And if you can find a project where you're looking at energy conservation, that's changing thermostats, lighting, your heating and cooling systems, looking at those kinds of things, you can pay for that in a pretty short order. And then in perpetuity beyond that, continue to make the money from that.
And I think the discussion is particularly pertinent in light of what the recent provincial auditors' recommendations were as far as ways to generate additional income for the province, one of which was to stop subsidizing energy bills, which means that we could see a dramatic spike in energy costs. So it's a win-win situation.
Well, yeah, we know energy costs are only going to continue to go up. And so if that's the case, energy costs are an overhead for any business, small or large. And so if your margins are getting smaller and smaller, if you can look at cutting your energy bills, that's a great way to, in a meaningful way, increase your profit and also reduce your environmental impact. So we've had a bunch of businesses that have done these kinds of things over the past few years. We often profile the kind of stories of those businesses. I've been in here before talking about Veriform, a manufacturer based out of Cambridge. They implemented 47 different projects to reduce their environmental impact. Each of them cost between $1,000 to $2,000 each. They're making $96,000 a year in those projects. Over the next 10 years, it's going to increase their profit by millions. So now we're going to say, okay, well, where do you find the money for that? So where are the incentives available? How do you communicate those to a management team in a way that will resonate with them? And what kind of projects can you look at? So that's what we'll be talking about.
And this is an important discussion to have as well, because I think, again, when we talk about sustainability, there's this this assumption that it will cost and complicate and potentially compromise. Like these three C's, compromise the product, the end product, because you're having to initiate these kind of changes. And technology we're at a place right now where more so than ever you can convert to these more sustainable processes and not see any sort of drop in production or the quality of the product that you're producing.
Or even an increase potentially as well. A lot of our members have moved into buildings that are more energy efficient, and they find that actually their employees are more excited to work from those kinds of buildings. They're more productive as a result, while at the same time energy bills are down by 60% in a LEED Gold building. Intermodal engineering is a good example of that. And so we've got to help businesses across Waterloo Region hear these stories, figure out how that company did it, and say, okay, how can I follow suit? Again, where can we find that same incentive program? Kind of provincially, for example, you started to mention before, the Ontario Power Authority has some pretty ambitious goals for how they'd like to ensure we all conserve energy. And so locally in Waterloo Region, Waterloo North Hydro, Kitchener-Wilmot, as well as Cambridge North Dumfries, they've got targets and money and incentives to back that up. So if you're a business that wants to look at doing an energy audit and want to get a sense of where our energy is being consumed from and where we might have projects that within a year can pay themselves back, your local utilities are willing to give you some money to help you to do that. So I'm not sure every business in this community knows about that. A lot of Regional Carbon Initiative members already do. Hosting this kind of event, we're hoping to kind of distill that down to the very simple level of where to find that money. And then again, how do you communicate it? That can also be a challenge. Again, if your CEO says, this kind of green stuff is going to cost me a lot of money. I don't have time for that. It's a tougher, lean kind of year. Well, okay, how can you position it to help articulate that by investing this amount of money early on, within a year it'll pay itself back, and beyond that, that again will add to our bottom line.
And it also, in terms of the dialogue that's happening now about environmental sustainability, traditionally a lot of very emotional language had been used to describe a desired outcome. We're at a part in the process now where we have scientific, we have financial terminology and models that are proven and again help inform in these situations. So in participating in this sort of discussion, this sort of dialogue, again, you can go back to your company and say, look, here are point by point why it's beneficial for us to participate in this. Here's where we can pull these financial resources from, it's a win-win for all parties, and we want to get people out to this because this is an important discussion to have.
Well, exactly, and I think I like the way you take that, because you and I can go for a beer and we can talk about the climate change science and the kind of moral imperative for us to reduce our environmental impact, and that there's some pretty serious conversation to be had there. But in addition to that, when we're talking to a business who is profit maximizing, we need to be able to speak to them in a way that positions this outside of that ethical and moral argument around things they're already looking to, which is, again, improving their bottom line.
And sustainablewaterlooregion.ca is the place to go to find out more about this conference. Again, happening on Wednesday, March 7th, 7:30 to 9:30. And again, more information is available at that website. If you are a company that is considering change, this is the time now to participate in this event. And again, find out what resources are available to support this initiative. And take a lot of the sting and confusion out of it as well.
That's it.
Very informative.
Okay, thank you.
As always, sir. Pleasure.
Really good to be here.
Yeah. More daytime to come, so